This episode is brought to you by our good friends at NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV. I'm sure by now you've all gotten back into your Sunday routines, but they could be even better. With NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV, you get the most live NFL games all in one place, every game, every Sunday. And you can even watch up to 4 different games at once with multi-view, one of my favorite inventions of this decade. It's exactly what you need to catch all the action. Make your Sundays more magical. And also, YouTube TV is great. I got it this year. It's awesome. Sign up now at youtube.com/BS. Device and content restrictions apply. Local and national games on YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games excludes digital-only games.
Another day is here, and you're ready for it. What to wear? Check. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Check. Planning for what's next and how to save for it? That's where Bank of America can help. For your financial to-dos, Bank of America has experts ready to help get you closer to your goals. Get started at one of our local financial centers or 24/7 in our mobile banking app. Find a location near you at bankofamerica.com/talktous. What would you like the power to do? Mobile banking requires downloading the app and is only available for select devices. Message and data rates may apply. Bank of America N.A., member FDIC.
This episode is brought to you by Honda. When you test drive the all-new Prologue EV, there's a lot that can impress you about it. There's the class-leading passenger space, the clean, thoughtful design, and the intuitive technology. But out of everything, what you'll really love most is that it's a Honda. Visit honda.com/EV to see offers.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello everybody and welcome to the second part of the Anfield Index Under Pressure season preview. And with me tonight is I've got the returning Hamzah Khalid Luna, sports journalist at the Times. Evening, Hamzah. How are we?
Good evening. Good to be back. Excited for the new season. Yeah, excited.
And how was Dr. Ian Graham?
He was very interesting. He was, well, I think his book comes out later this week, so everyone will have we'll have an opportunity to read it. Just a little bit of a warning, there's some extracts posted on Twitter from our serialization, and I think a number of people tried to characterize it in a way that probably wasn't representative of what was in the text. I think anyone read those extracts.
What a shock. People on Twitter taking things the wrong way for clicks. What a shock.
People on the news misuse
when it comes out. When the book comes out, there's going to be so many people misquoting stuff.
What I found so surprising was that the people that were using it had the exact extracts there that contradicted what they were saying with their tweets. But yeah, I'm sure a lot of people will be interested to read one of the chapters. I think chapter 9 is the one that's my favorite. It's about tracking data. So when you guys work through it, I think you guys will enjoy that in particular.
Yeah. And you've already heard him. He's back again 2 nights in a row. He's the hardest working man in podcasting. It's Mr. Simon Rundish.
Evening. We're 4 days away. Very excited at this point. And I'm going to miss the first game of the season.
No way. Why? What are you doing?
A hastily arranged coaching conference in Ireland with Marty.
Wow. And I take it's during the day on Saturday then.
During the day on Saturday, so there's one of the best spring coaches in the world happens to be here, right. And he's a friend, and I've quickly arranged this coaching thing it was 2 days he could do it. That was it, Friday, Saturday.
Wow, nice. What a strange day for a conference. You guys never sleep, you sporting scientists. Anyway,
and we did all a huge City fan as well.
Oh, wow.
He's going to miss the game as well.
So we did all our sports science stuff yesterday. We're waiting, but we're going to talk a lot. There's going to be lots and lots of numbers today, and lots of tactics as well. So, Hamzah, we're going to start with the pre-season because we haven't had a chance to talk about anything that's really gone on in the pre-season. So, and you've always got this fine eye for detail. So, what do you think? What do you think we've learned so far from pre-season, and what do you think about our predominant patterns of play that we're seeing?
So a few things that are interesting. First of all, that you've always got to add a caveat with pre-season that you're not really looking for results, you're looking for performances and patterns. And then the additional caveat to that is it's hard, like you're trying to separate what is inherent to a player in learning a new system from a senior player coming in and knowing what they're meant to do and not what they're not meant to. So there's all sorts of things going on, right? I've not explained that specific bit very clearly, but I think you guys understand what I'm getting at. But what we've noticed very early on is a difference in how the team builds. And I think this is important to note because you might see like a 4-2 structure at the back, not including the goalkeeper. So it's a 1-4-2. And Liverpool are a lot more patient in building up in these phases. And then what the team is looking to do is build up, draw the opponent forward, and then snap the ball very quickly with a sort of up, back, and through routine. Sometimes a direct pass in behind. And when I say direct pass, I don't mean a really long direct pass. It's more of a sort of clipped, medium length pass. Might be from the goalkeeper, might be from the fullback, up the line. Then you're using a player like Salah, or it might be Jota on the left to pin a centre-back, feed the ball back in field, and then break in behind. So the difference here is that, well, it's interesting when you look at Klopp's Liverpool. One of the very interesting elements about it was how it was both a possession team and also a very direct team that looked to create counter-pressing opportunities and encourage a transitional open game. This is a bit more guarded than that. Of course, there's still an opportunity to press. The team still wants to counter-press effectively because that's important both in an offensive and defensive sense. But the team isn't looking to force passes as often as they would under Jurgen Klopp by playing long and early passes in behind. Rather, the idea is a bit more De Zerbi-esque in trying to draw opponents forward and then play through them. But again,
the baiting, press baiting, isn't it? I believe is the term of the day, press baiting. Yeah.
But those two things essentially are how a team builds up. But the problem that you may encounter is that if you're playing against a team that isn't pressing you, then you've got to work out how to break them down, which is a sort of problem that Brighton encountered last season. And I mean, it's what most top teams encounter. So you're still going to have some of the same problems that arise from when a team is sitting back, they're tight, they're good in the air, all that sort of stuff. So a few tweaks here and there, which means that you will see differences, but at other times you're not going to see many differences in how Liverpool play because the idea is to keep a lot of the structures the same and the problems that opponents are going to pose maybe similar still.
Superb. Si, do you want to build on that? What have you noticed about pre-season? What do you want to draw out?
Yeah, just really, Hamzah nailed it. But what he was saying was that because we know we've got so much experience of watching these boys, because we didn't change any, play under Klopp. We know how each of these play, so it's very obvious when they're doing different things and making different choices. So that's the insight that we're getting now. Suddenly, that some players are holding the ball longer than they would, taking different angles to and away from the ball, taking different angles when they're out of possession, making different connections on different areas of the pitch. So yeah, the tempo with which they play, what looks like their intentions are slightly different, and the intensity of their play at different times, different moments in the phase of play, depending on who's got the ball, that's different. It feels like a little bit when there was much hype after our 2 years of shit show we had before Brendan. When Brendan showed up, it was like he has got this. He was really the beginning I'd heard publicly of game models. which has become very much part of the UEFA coaching standards. And now coaches will walk around with their binders, and they'll very often have little memory sticks that they're taking, shoving under anybody's nose that would like to see all of their training sessions and look how my game model will work. It's basically a watered down version of what Pep does. That's all. That's all of them just copy bloody Pep, and try to reinvent the exact thing that he's doing with the greatest player on earth. I digress. The point is that when Brendan joined, we'd heard of this game model. We heard of how he was going to play and it was so obviously going to be different from what Kenny didn't have any tactics. Kenny just put lads on the pitch and hoped at that point. It wasn't prime Kenny Dalglish from a managerial perspective. He was just putting band-aids over a massive seeping gash left by fucking Hodgson. So it was the seeds of building something. And in the first game, you instantly could see under Brendan what he planned. And it was so very obviously, visibly different than it was. And it really surprised me that you could very obviously see the differences in Slot's intention as Klopp, and how different their game models are. And I imagine it's going to emerge in a much greater way over the course of the season as he embeds more and more, and he has more capable players because it's a very technical game model. He has more technical players as the first team come back from international break and get embedded into the system. So it'll be fascinating to watch. But there were lots of different things in how we played than what we were doing last season, which were really interesting. And then in the last game, we could see the first team join in, and Trent played right back for the first half, and then he didn't in the second half, which was also interesting.
Yeah. How did you see the team playing in that second half against Sevilla? What was the general setup?
My feeling is, I don't know what you reckon, Hamzah, that I think we're going to have maybe 3 different ways of playing, specifically due to the thing that Klopp used to talk about all the time. They had to transition from one thing to another thing because of how many teams played 10 men behind the ball. I don't think that was prevalent last season. I don't think a lot of Premier League teams play that deep anymore. All of them have got young managers with their game models based on Pep, so they don't know how to play low blocks on the edge of their box because Mourinho already buggered off and no one's learned from it. But I think the plan is to go from what would be the 4-2 and then 4 ahead of that Hamzah was saying, would be to change that to a 3-2 with Trent dropping into that inverted midfield, so he's becoming the second base of the pivot.
So the WM.
The
second option will be the WM, right? Okay.
Yeah, and then the other 8 goes and joins the 10. So you've got the WM in a different way, but yeah.
Yeah, I would add to that and just say at Feyenoord he did mix up systems a bit. So sometimes you would see just a single pivot in there, and the fullbacks would be wide. So you'd have a 2 single pivot and then 2 players wide. What that would mean is sometimes the ball will get snapped in to the number 6 and then snapped back out wide. So you draw on the play to one side and you use the fullback on the outside to then be the progressive player as they hug the line, and that means the wingers, then playing the half spaces. So, he did move it around a bit. Sometimes you'd actually see if you think about the 3-box-3, sometimes with Feyenoord you'd actually see the box being a sort of parallelogram, so it was sort of angled slightly to one side. The upside of that means that whichever side it's angled to, you're going to have an overload there, and also you've just got slightly better angles than if you've got a conventional box. But of course, in practice, you very rarely actually have a conventional box where everyone's at 90 degrees to everyone else, right? I think Simon's point there about slightly different tweaks and different situations will work. Will probably be how we see it, and I think you might see Trent move infield and Trent play out well.
Geertruida for Feyenoord, it was quite an interior fullback, wasn't he? Generally, he was quite narrow, both in defence and build up as well. So that wouldn't be anything new for.
But But the
slot,
one key stat, I mentioned this earlier, is the long ball rate. So Feyenoord had the lowest long ball rate in the Eredivisie last season. And that's just quite different to Liverpool, who were very willing
So
to...
the question is, yes, if you're playing a system like that, but you've got a player like Trent Alexander-Arnold in, does that automatically up your long ball rate because you want to use that?
I'd imagine...
It's always a tactical choice, yeah. So
I imagine so. One more thing. The way that they progressed the ball was a large degree of it was through carries, encouraging carrying situations and encouraging players. Well, first of all, having players that carry the ball and then encourage them to do that as much as possible. So you may just see a lot more deep carries and having some, if it's maybe Joe Gomez or Konate, encouraging them to run forward or letting the six receive the ball and break forward. Maybe it might actually help someone like Luis Diaz as well, who is a natural ball carrier.
What about off the ball, chaps? What do you see any differences off the ball in the way we'll approach things and slot?
Well, I think we press a little bit later than we were. We were just guiding into the second level of press. I quickly wanted to touch on. There's lots of comparisons with tactically with Liverpool against Feyenoord, and I think we can forget. I think it's really easy to forget, particularly with the number of tacticos. And there are a lot of smart tactical people that are on the internet and that talk about football on us, that players are involved. And we go down this idea that coaches have this way of playing. Maybe it's one way, maybe it's three ways, and we're going to replicate this. Gertrude plays this way, so he likes this kind of fullback.
Yeah.
The two things in that. One, Gertrude can't lick Trent Alexander-Arnold's boots as a footballer. So Slot is not an idiot. He's going to figure the best way to utilize this unbelievable footballer. But take away the fullback for a second. They didn't have Mo Salah playing on the right wing. He's going to figure the best way to utilize his system, which makes the absolute most of Mo Salah's talents, and then how does he create runners around that so Mo can pick him out? So yeah, that rhomboid that Hamzah was talking about before. Rhomboid is rhombus. Rhomboid's a bloody muscle. It can slant one of two ways, but it won't if Mo Salah's on the pitch, because he's always going to be the top corner of it.
This episode is brought to you by Experian. Are you paying for subscriptions you don't use but can't find the time or energy to cancel them? Experian could cancel unwanted subscriptions for you, saving you an average of $270 per year and plenty of time. Download the Experian app. Results will vary. Not all subscriptions are eligible. Savings are not guaranteed. Paid membership with connected payment account required.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold! Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
At BlueNile.com, you can find endless ways to make your moments sparkle. From classic and timeless jewelry gifts to creating the custom engagement ring of her dreams, all at prices you won't find at a traditional jeweler. And right now, you can save up to 40% on fine jewelry and 25% on engagement ring settings during the Blue Nile Anniversary Sale, going on now. Go to BlueNile.com to shop the Blue Nile Anniversary Sale and save up to 40%. That's BlueNile.com.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. Ha. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac, and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes, and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
Yeah. Okay. So off the ball though, and just come back to it. I mean, I don't know what you thought, guys, but I thought we were, as a back four, I thought we were typically a bit narrower maybe than we were, and we were a unit and was kind of within the width of the 18-yard box. I thought it was a little bit Arsenal, a little bit Man City style side. Did you see any? Did you see that? Or was that just?
Yeah, I think it's one of the most compact, narrow defenses I've seen. Like we're setting up. It's a weird thing. Obviously, seeing lots of women's football for the last 5 years. The really smart, or the coaches that aren't dumb, have discovered that women can't kick a ball 50 yards. So there's no point having wide pitches and setting up your defense to cover the whole width of the pitch, because they can't make the switch. So if they can't make the switch, then the defense has become more and more and more narrow. And it looked like we were setting up that way. There were 20 yards between, which is a third of the width of the pitch, between fullback to fullback when we were tight and compact, and we were all moving across together like that, and we're happy to leave an overload out wide with 20 meters free. So often there was a fullback and a winger on the opposite side. If the opposition is got big balls, they will try to overload the weak side, but we're confident enough, we have an idea of how we're going to compress that after the moment of the switch, I think. And what we're going to deal with the runner, because the thinking, the theory behind that would be you're not going to score from the touchline, so we'll deal with the runners in the middle, the consequences of them getting an open pass into the box, and it's very different from how we played before.
And the other thing I think I just noticed was that I think we've just dialed down the aggression generally compared to Klopp. I mean, it's difficult to be any more heavy metal than Jurgen. But particularly in terms of, one full back would attack and the other one would stay and tuck in. I didn't think there was that many times I saw both full backs bombing on, leaving on this time. It was more one goes forward and one tucks in, alongside the two centre backs, or maybe slightly inverted in the midfield position. Si, do you think that's fair? Or
I think we did some slightly different things in different games. I think the majority of the time when we had consistent possession, both fullbacks are gone.
Okay. Anything more on patterns of play that you want to mention, chaps?
I'd just say that, midfield pressing traps, but again, that's not too different. It's just much more reserved in the way that the team is looking to win the ball. It's more of a gentle guide imagine your opponent is building up, and you're gently trying to guide them first towards the wings or then towards the pressing trap. And once you finish guiding them and you're ready to go, then you jump. So it's a bit more passive in the first phase, and then it gets going. But again, as well, imagine you are a coach or a teacher or whatever. When you introduce concepts to people, you layer them. So you go, you have an idea of what you want to achieve. But if you're working with new people that aren't familiar with this, you go step by step. So some of the things that we might be seeing here might just be precursors to stuff that we may see down the line, or that they may be sort of tentative steps. You know, you sort of how you're told, for example, at school, there's 3 states of matter. And at primary school, that's what you learn, and then at secondary school, you learn, actually, there's more. It might be something like that, where you've got an idea where you think is definitely it, and then as we sort of progress through the season, we go, actually, no, that was just an important step for you to understand the concept, and now we're going to go a bit more.
One thing we know from Slot's background is that both his parents were teachers as well, so he's from that kind of family. So, yeah, okay. So, new patterns of play, new tactics, new build-ups. or has an impact on the players that are available to the manager, Hamzah, do you think there's any other squad which are at risk of looking like a square peg in round holes, or do you think it's overall pretty fit?
Well, the number 6 area is the most obvious thing, but my opinion is, at least, especially in an era where you think about PSR and how they can hamstring teams, I think if you can't get who you're after, there's no point spending money on someone that you may look to replace in a season or two, because you need to. I think you either go for the players that's at the top of the shortlist or on the shortlist, and if none of those are available, you should be looking to your squad and thinking about how you can work around that.
So you're thinking, you didn't name him, obviously, because you're so kind all the time, Hamzah, but I'd take it you're thinking about Endo, maybe? Yeah.
I mean, is he serviceable? I guess so, yeah. So I wouldn't. I mean, if you put him next to McAllister in the build-up phase with Trent, I mean, you can still get to a very good level with him. It might not be perfect, but as in for now, I think that's fine. I wouldn't be sort of trying to break the bank to sign a. I mean, it seems like we dodged the bullet with the Caicedo bid a year ago, and I think it's wise not to sort of do something similar this year and put so much money into one particular player if you can't get who you're after. Otherwise, Liverpool lost Matip, but Joe Gomez now seems to be back in the centre-back fold because Bradley's...
That looks like round peg in round hole to me. round peg in round hole.
But as in, at the same time, Gomez is, again, a good right-back depth option, so that's fine. But yeah, you've now got...
I'd prefer maybe if it was more of a break glass fullback cover, yeah, rather than the default fullback cover. I think I had my fill of watching Joe at fullback last year. Sorry.
But again...
Sorry, go on.
Can I just add that I saw people talking today about obviously with the Zubi whatever nonsense and whether we've got a worse or a better squad than this time last season. I think we've got the same squad, but probably a little bit better, as we discussed yesterday. Biggest thing is that Kwanzaa is now absolutely part of, whether he's first choice or not, he's definitely part of the centre-back rotation, just like Joel was. Joel averaged 2,300 minute seasons. Last season, Kwanzaa already beat it. So he's already proven that he can replace the minutes that we were getting from a senior centre back. So what the quality of which is up for debate, but he's definitely there from a minutes perspective.
Yeah. Any other players you thinking looking a bit square peggy?
Just quickly. When we spoke to Klopp with Slot after his first press conference, he mentioned pretty clearly that he sees Nunez as a number 9 and he will be playing there, and Cody Gakpo pretty much as a left winger. So I think those two at least will be in their native positions, and so that's another case of square pegs and square holes.
Yeah,
I am a little bit reluctant about how Darwin played. So some of the things that we've seen from so far is that in the first game we played entirely without a 9, didn't we, in the first preseason game? And Zobbo
didn't have one.
The highest forward, Zobbo, and he played
Elliott.
It's kind of, I suppose it's a little bit reminiscent of Bobby, but maybe early Bobby. But yeah, I would even say that's probably true. Because given that Harvey presses his absolute nuts off from the front, which early on, that's what Bobby was, plus occasionally a few flicks for in his first season as a 9, as he adapted and became much more of a centre forward that dropped in rather than a 10 who was being forced to remember to get in the box. What we've seen when Jota's been up there is there's always a focal point. There's always a fulcrum high up the pitch to bounce off. So a very common adage in football is you got to play backwards to play forwards. So you got to play in to the forward to come backwards to go back round and get ahead of that guy again. So you need somebody up front with his back to goal. So far, Darwin looks like he hates it. That would be my issue with doing that. in my brain, I'd already set aside Darwin's going to be the centre forward this season, and as we talked about last night, I was fairly convinced that that it's going to be a very good thing. But thinking about how the rotation worked, because we got the centre forward, and he's very often dropping in to make a pass into the 10 or out wide to Mo to get in and then get in behind. Darwin must have faced play from the side. He doesn't work vertically that way. He likes to work diagonally, and that might be an issue. I also think Harvey likes to work diagonally as well. So that might be a challenge for Klopp to get in. Jota is 100% vertical. He will play forward and back from wherever you put him on the pitch. And his first thought is, how do I get into the box? And if I can't get into the box, is how do we get into the box? And he furrows these straight lines forward and back. And Darwin wants to fade in wide to the middle. And so it will be, I don't know for sure without watching previous incarnations of slot systems, but Mo's already doing that, and you're not going to forsake that. You can't have one on the left if Mo's doing it on the right. You need a fulcrum down the middle, and maybe the sacrifices we saw last season made by Mo to accommodate Darwin is going to have to be the opposite way around this year.
Interesting. Hamzah, any thoughts on Slot's use of centre forward? Because he definitely played with one every time at Feyenoord.
I think Salah is intelligent enough to work around it. So when we spoke to Paul Joyce and I spoke to Ian Graham the other day, we asked about how about Nunez and Salah and that relationship, and he said he was surprised that Salah's output wasn't eaten into more by Nunez, and he's actually usually there's diminishing returns with players that shoot more and more.
I saw that comment. It did go. His shot volume went down 20%.
But the belief was that it would affect Salah more, and what we saw last season was explicitly a more creative Salah, with his XA increasing significantly. And him being able to accommodate his game and change it, and also and rebalance the attack. I think you guys have spoken before, especially Simon, about how Salah does everything. He can carry the ball, he can create with it, he can drop deep, he can shoot as well. And I think Salah is smart enough to be able to deal with that. The only other question is, as he gets older, is he still going to be able to do that? Because even excellent players, as they lose a bit of pace, he had a hamstring injury last season, their effectiveness wanes a bit. I mean, you need only look at if you imagine a chart of peak ages, so it starts and it goes upwards in terms of output, and then you get to 30 and everyone drops off very suddenly. That's true of almost all players, and especially so for wingers. Salah is now playing as a sort of inside winger in a sort of semi-creative role, so there's a few questions there that we'll only be able to find out as the season goes on. But I think, just going on what we saw last season, that Salah will be able to help accommodate for that, and the way that he passes as well. You think about that outside of the foot pass in particular. That's the sort of thing that may actually suit someone like Darwin if he's running from out to win.
But that's my point. That's my point, Hamzah. That's what he wants to do: run out to win. So we already know that we can. If we're building through the right hand side, there's no problem because Darwin can face up. That's exactly what he wants. What we're talking about is how we're building through the middle. And that's what.
And is that why Jota is going to start the season as first choice?
Is Jota just a better player right now?
Well, no, but my point is he's a club record signing. He will be a club record signing, and he's still not first choice in his starting his third year for us. So I agree. I've always thought Jota was a better player, to be honest. So but then again, we've always championed Jota on this pod.
I think it's an interesting debate. I think the narrative changes all the time, and until that volley the other night, mostly people will see the match of the day brilliance of Darwin as somebody with a high ceiling. I don't even know if any of us would argue that Darwin's got a high ceiling. But
I don't even know what that means, because I dispute that. But, Jota's only problem is he doesn't play enough. So,
no,
yeah.
I think it's fair to say that Nunez has a high ceiling. If you, just on his XG numbers, was he in at 0.68 last season, close to 0.7? Well, Jota was 0.4, 0.42, something like that. Those numbers in itself, I think, are evidence of a higher ceiling, and then it's tapping into that potential. That I think that's the reason Liverpool bought him, because if he gets close to that rate, and if he's not underperforming by a significant amount, he's scoring goals, and goals outweigh everything, because they are decisive contributions in football in a way that scoring in other sports, cricket, basketball, whatever, aren't. These are massive contributions. So I think you could genuinely do nothing most games, but if you're scoring a goal a game, that makes you massively valuable. Even if you're not linking play like Jota does. But yeah.
So what are you suggesting there, Hamzah? Are you thinking that Nunez is still first choice then?
I'm honest on that. I'm not too sure, just because of that's something we'll only be able to tell as the season goes on. I think just because of the way pre-season has been and how quick the season started, and the late return of Nunez to the squad. I'm genuinely not sure.
There is some maths here for the maths geeks amongst us. What is the value of 2,100 minutes of Jota's output versus 3,000 minutes of Darwin's output for the team? Because Darwin's more available than Jota. So yeah. How does that look? What's the difference in value to the team?
What do you mean by value to the team?
So the value of 2,100 minutes of Jota or 3,000 minutes of Darwin.
How many points won, how many games won, how many goals?
Yeah. Whatever. Like as actual output. Yeah. What does that look like? And which has more value? Like, you could even discuss these days, what is the value of having Kevin De Bruyne's absolute brilliance for 1,600 minutes, or Saka's slightly less brilliance for 3,500 minutes? Who's the better player? Who's more valuable? That's what I'm saying.
Hey guys, it's Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm sorry to call time on the show before it ends. In the current climate, it's tougher than ever before to offer podcasts for free. At Anfield Index, we produce over 75 free shows every month, which I'm confident is unparalleled in the LFC sphere. Whilst we'd love to offer everything for free, the production costs now make this impossible. That said, we don't want to follow the model of other channels and lock all of our content behind a paywall. So what we've decided to do is to continue offering every show for free, but cut that offering to 30 minutes on our longer shows. So to get all of our shows in full and enjoy the best of everything we have to offer, we really hope you'll consider supporting the channel and signing up at AnfieldIndexPro.com. For about the price of 1 cup of coffee, you'll get every podcast in full with 0 ads. You'll also get access to our LFC VIP community, where you can enjoy live podcasts, engage with our podcasters, and chat with other Reds in real time. So that website again, AnfieldIndexPro.com. Join today.
Sports Social Podcast Network.